Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sharing Stories podcast. In this channel, we discuss books. Today, we have Lost Lambs by Madeline Cash. And, so imagine for a moment that your parents just, they sit you down and announce that they are opening their marriage.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And almost immediately, it goes spectacularly wrong.
Right. Of course it does.
Yeah. The whole family foundation just completely collapses, and you and your siblings are just left to fend for yourselves emotionally. What do you do?
That is, that's a tough situation.
Right. Well, if you're the eldest sister in this book, you start dating an older, disgraced ex-soldier who is affectionately known as War Crimes Wes.
War Crimes Wes. Wow.
Yeah, just casually.
Mm.
And if you're the middle sister, you decide to, maintain a secret pen pal correspondence with an actual, literal online terrorist.
Literal terrorist.
And if you're the youngest, you become convinced that a local billionaire is surveilling your town, which naturally leads to you getting shipped off to a wilderness reform camp.
Right. It is quite the baseline for a family dynamic. We are talking about an entire ecosystem of just pure chaos here.
Total chaos.
But what makes this debut novel so remarkable, and honestly, the reason it's completely dominating literary discussions right now, is that it takes these wild, these slapstick, hyper-absurd premises and uses them to surgically unpack the messy reality of coming of age today.
Yeah.
It's a very unusual hybrid.
Yeah.
Because it takes these raw, resonant, emotional truths about how adrift people feel, and it wraps them inside a quirky crime caper, basically.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Bring your book to life with AI. Plotsformovies.com helps you create movie-like trailers for your book, allowing filmmakers to visualize your story just the way you imagined it while writing. Enhance the storytelling experience to a whole new level with realistic characters, immersive voiceovers, and cinematic sound effects. No more boring stock images or generic clips. Captivate your audience, spark curiosity, make readers and filmmakers eager to explore more. Plotsformovies.com, where your story becomes cinema.
You just hear the surface level plot details. It almost sounds like a joke.
It does.
Like, the Flynn family operates like they're playing a multiplayer video game, right?
Yeah.
But instead of following the main storyline, every single player in the family has chosen the absolute most unhinged side quest possible.
Just to see what happens.
Exactly, just to see what happens. The parents, Bud and Catherine, initiate this disastrous open marriage, which completely fractures the home. And the daughters respond by seeking out these incredibly extreme, borderline dangerous relationships. But, my first instinct when I read about a teenager writing to a terrorist or a sister dating War Crimes Wes, it's that it feels purely designed for shock value.
Right, yeah.
Like, is Madeline Cash just throwing narrative grenades to get our attention?
Well, it's a completely fair assumption to make when you hear those character quirks in isolation.
Yeah.
But when you look at the thematic engine driving the novel, those extreme choices aren't just superficial shock tactics.
Okay.
What's fascinating here is that they are heavily fortified defense mechanisms.
Defense mechanisms.
Yeah. The central theme here is how these characters are navigating a state of being completely socially and emotionally adrift. They desperately crave connection, right? But they were simultaneously terrified of genuine, everyday vulnerability.
But wait, I have to challenge that logic.
Okay, go for it.
Because if you are terrified of vulnerability, how is writing letters to an online terrorist or dating a disgraced soldier a solution?
Right.
You are literally exposing yourself to massive danger. That seems like the ultimate vulnerability, doesn't it?
Well, you're exposing yourself to physical or circumstantial danger, sure.
Yeah.
But not emotional danger.
Right.
And that's the crucial distinction for the Flynn sisters.
Yeah.
Think about the mechanics of those relationships. A disgraced ex-soldier or a radicalized person on the internet.
Right.
These are fundamentally broken or absent figures. They are not relationships that demand healthy day-to-day emotional intimacy.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like an online terrorist is never going to ask you to be emotionally present at a Sunday dinner.
Right. They're not asking how your day was.
Exactly. They're not going to ask you to hold them accountable or force you to communicate your deepest insecurities.
Oh, that makes so much sense. It's a paradox.
Yes.
You pick the most dangerous possible person because, emotionally, they are actually the safest because they're completely inaccessible. So you never have to risk being truly known or rejected by someone who actually matters in your daily life.
That's exactly it. When the core institution in your life, your parents' marriage.
Right.
When that implodes spectacularly,
Mm-hmm.
you lose trust in conventional stability.
Yeah.
So the extreme nature of the daughter's choices highlights their profound internal alienation.
Yeah.
They are trying to figure out what adulthood is supposed to look like in a world that feels inherently unstable.
And if we think about it, don't we all do a milder version of this?
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
we might not be writing to terrorists.
Hopefully not.
Right, hopefully not. But we certainly isolate ourselves digitally. Like, we form these parasocial relationships, one-sided emotional attachments to influencers or celebrities or even just internet
You
micro-celebrities.
got people on your feed.
Exactly.
Oh.
We do it just so we can feel connected without having to be vulnerable with the actual human sitting in the room with us. It's a way of participating in human connection with all the safety guards up.
That is exactly the modern dysfunction Cash is diagnosing here. We substitute real intimacy with intense, curated obsessions, which actually brings us perfectly to the youngest daughter, Harper.
Oh, right, the wilderness camp one.
Yeah, because her coping mechanism isn't a bad romance, it's paranoia.
Okay, right.
Harper becomes convinced that Paul Alabaster, who is this local billionaire, is heavily involved in corruption and is effectively monitoring the town's citizens.
Wow.
And her obsession with his shadowy influence gets so intense that her family ships her off to a wilderness reform camp.
But her paranoia isn't just an idle hobby, is it?
No, not at all.
Because her obsession with Alabaster's machinations ends up dragging the entire Flynn family headfirst into a legitimate criminal conspiracy.
Yeah, it really escalates.
Which is wild. Like, the plot executes this crazy pivot. We go from a character-driven coming-of-age story about a fractured family straight into this manic cultural satire and thriller.
It's quite the tonal shift.
It is. But here is the irony that I love. Getting pulled into a dangerous conspiracy involving a plutocrat is the very thing that forces this fractured family to actually deal with each other again.
The irony is, honestly, it's the structural genius of the book.
Yeah.
Cash uses this thriller conspiracy plot to say something profound about modern psychology.
Okay.
I mean, we often view conspiracy theories as the realm of the deeply irrational.
Right. Like, totally detached from reality.
Exactly. But in Cash's world, cultivating these counter-ideologies is actually a way for vulnerable people to hone their intuition.
Wait, explain how that works.
Okay, so
Because how does believing in a conspiracy hone someone's intuition? Usually we think of it as losing touch with reality, not sharpening it.
right, I know it sounds counterintuitive,
Hmm.
but it comes down to a feeling of powerlessness.
Okay.
When the institutions you are supposed to trust are failing you, whether that's your parents' marriage dissolving or, the local economy being hollowed out by a billionaire who operates entirely above the law, you feel like a passive victim. A plutocracy, by definition, is a society ruled by its wealthiest members.
Yeah.
They operate in the shadows without democratic accountability. So for someone like Harper, accepting that reality means accepting she has absolutely no agency.
I see. So by diving into the conspiracy,
Yeah.
she's taking control.
Yes. By questioning everything, by tracking Alabaster's movements, by refusing the official narrative, she is actively choosing not to be a passive victim.
Wow.
She is treating the world like a puzzle to be solved rather than a tragedy to be endured.
That's a great way to put it.
And so it forces her to trust her own eyes, to hone her intuition, to spot threats in a world that genuinely is unsafe for her.
Yeah.
And Neil Orr in Vulture and Magnus Reina in the Financial Times both pointed this out in their reviews. When institutions fail, becoming a bit paranoid might be the only way to establish a sense of agency in a world full of online wormholes.
That is fascinating. It completely flips the script on what it means to be paranoid.
It really does.
Like, it's not a delusion, it's a survival tactic. Exactly. And it's a commentary on how powerless the average person feels today against these massive, shadowy behemoth systems. I mean, Rhoda Feng mentioned this in her review in the Boston Globe, too, this deep skepticism of institutions.
Right, absolutely.
You're all hyper-aware that the world is being influenced by tech billionaires and invisible algorithms, but we can't do anything about it. So Harper's reaction, while extreme, is deeply relatable.
It is deeply relatable.
Yeah.
And it grounds the bizarre slapstick elements of the plot.
Yeah.
Because you have wilderness camps, War Crimes Wes, predatory billionaires, but beneath all that manic energy is a raw exploration of identity.
Yeah.
The novel manages to tackle a very specific contemporary form of loneliness. It's that distinctly modern paradox of being constantly connected to 100 group chats, surrounded by people, while feeling entirely emotionally disconnected and invisible.
Oh, man. This gap between outward projection and inward desperation feels so authentic to this specific generation. Like the characters in this book walk around projecting this highly ironic, confident, detached aura.
Right? Nothing phases them.
Yeah, they act completely indifferent to the world burning down around them. But privately, they are just drowning in insecurity.
And that ironic detachment is a trap.
Yeah.
Because they desperately desire to be understood, but their irony prevents anyone from getting close enough to actually understand them.
Right.
If you never take anything seriously, you can never be hurt when things fall apart.
Yeah, but you also can never build anything meaningful.
Exactly.
Which makes sense when you look at the architect behind all of this, Madeline Cash.
Right.
Like, she's the founder of a literary magazine called Forever, and she previously wrote a story collection called Earth Angel. But Lost Lambs is her debut novel.
Yeah, it's her first full-length novel.
And some literary spaces, like the Platform to Beautiful, are already throwing around the phrase that she is capturing the voice of a generation.
That is a massive, heavy crown to wear.
It really is. How does she actually earn that title without it feeling forced?
Well, she earns it by refusing to make her characters perfectly self-aware.
Oh, interesting.
Because in so much contemporary fiction, characters are basically given a megaphone to eloquently state their exact trauma and psychological motivations to the reader.
Oh my gosh, yes. It's like they've all been to therapy for 10 years.
Exactly. They are artificially enlightened. But Cash rejects that. The characters in Lost Lambs misunderstand each other constantly.
Yeah.
They behave selfishly. They actively avoid difficult conversations.
Right.
But those exact flaws, that lack of perfect self-awareness, are what make their struggles recognizable.
Yeah.
They aren't trying to be moral role models. They're just trying to survive their own messy lives.
Which totally shifts the goalposts for what a coming-of-age story even is.
It does.
Because traditionally, a coming-of-age novel is a straight line, right?
Right.
The protagonist faces a trial, finds the quote-unquote right answer, experiences a neat moral transformation, and steps confidently into adulthood.
Right. And Cash completely dismantles that straight line.
Right.
This raises an important question about how we define adulthood today. Because in her universe, growing up isn't about finding a perfect, permanent answer. It's about learning to tolerate uncertainty.
Yeah.
Adulthood isn't presented as a destination where you suddenly have everything figured out. It's about accepting that identity is something that continually evolves. Being lost isn't the same thing as being without a future.
So adulthood is basically just looking around, realizing you have absolutely no idea where you are going, but finally deciding you're okay with that. Honestly, that feels incredibly freeing.
It is freeing. It relieves the pressure of having to construct a flawless, permanent identity.
Yeah.
And this thematic depth is exactly why literary critics are struggling to categorize this book into a single genre.
I can imagine.
Bringing together a chaotic thriller plot with these raw, tender emotional themes is an incredibly difficult high-wire act. Reviewers are comparing her to Jonathan Franzen for her ability to illuminate the microscopic inner workings of a modern family.
Oh, wow, Franzen.
Yeah, and simultaneously comparing her to Thomas Pynchon.
Pynchon.
Yes, because of her eye for the grotesque and conspiratorial within the mundane. They're also bringing up names like Jeffrey Eugenides and Lydia Millett.
That is some serious literary real estate to be occupying for a debut novel.
It really is.
And I saw one description of the book style that absolutely floored me.
Which one?
It was Emmeline Klein writing for Cultured. And she called it, wait, let me get this right. She called it optimism-pilled, manic pixie paranoid realism spiced with the sacred.
That is quite the mouthful.
Right. But I love that so much. It captures exactly how unhinged but surprisingly hopeful the story sounds.
It's a brilliant categorization.
Yeah.
And another major critique, this was Magnus Reina in the Financial Times.
Yeah.
He described the reading experience as akin to a classic Virago novel from the 1960s or 70s.
Okay, like those sharp, fiercely intelligent, deeply feminist family sagas.
Exactly, the ones that really unpack domestic life. But he noted that Cash laces that classic format with modern anxieties like vape juice, online extremism, and 21st century plutocracies. So it's this collision of the classic family saga and hyper-modern internet-era dread.
But here's the thing that really trips me up.
Okay.
We have a story featuring online terrorists, predatory billionaires, deep family trauma, heavy substance references.
Right.
Yet there is a massive consensus that the book actually ends on a sweet, surprisingly sentimental note.
Yeah, Publishers Weekly pointed that out.
Yeah, and Marina Schultz in another magazine basically said Cash's oddest, most rewarding move is giving the book a genuinely happy ending that actually feels true.
Mm-hmm.
How does a book this steeped in modern cynicism manage to be sweet without feeling completely cheesy or unearned?
Well, that is the magic trick of the novel. The Wall Street Journal noted this too. It proves that dark comedy and innocent sweetness can occupy the exact same space.
Yeah.
Which is very true to real life, if you think about it. Painful, uncomfortable experiences coexist with complete absurdity all the time. Cash gives the characters a genuinely happy ending. But it feels true, because it isn't a fairy tale ending where all their problems magically disappear.
Right. They don't just win the lottery and fix everything.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It's an optimistic ending that survives the cynicism of late capitalism. The characters don't defeat the broken world. They just figure out a way to endure it together.
They find a pocket of warmth inside the chaos.
Exactly.
It really sounds like the kind of book that makes you laugh out loud while simultaneously breaking your heart.
Oh, totally.
Like you come for the slapstick comedy of War Crimes Wes, but you stay for the profound realization about your own fear of vulnerability.
Exactly. And as we wrap up this deep dive into the Flynn family ecosystem, I want to leave the listener with a final thought to mull over.
Okay.
We've talked extensively about how the bizarre actions of this family are ultimately just symptoms of a desperate desire to belong in a world that feels unmoored.
Right.
If we hold a mirror up to ourselves, in what ways do our own modern dysfunctions serve that exact same purpose?
Oh, wow.
Think about our endless doom scrolling, our obsession with hyper-specific online niche communities, or the way we ghost people to avoid uncomfortable conversations.
Oof. Calling us out.
Right. Are these just our generation's weird, desperate search for connection and safety in a world where traditional paths to adulthood no longer make sense?
Man, that is a phenomenal question to end on. It definitely makes you look at your own screen time and your own defense mechanisms a little differently next time you log on.
Yeah, it really does.
We at sharingstories.in are showcasing books by Indian authors through the hashtag Pushing Indian Authors campaign. This content is supported by plotsformovies.com, an AI-enabled book trailer platform where you can watch one min trailer of the book to understand the book better before you buy it.
Absolutely.
If you enjoyed this deep dive, please consider subscribing and supporting the channel so we can keep bringing you these conversations. We highly recommend you buy Lost Lambs by Madeline Cash and read it for yourself. You can find the link to purchase it right down in the description. And finally, drop a comment below and let us know, what is your favorite book by an Indian author? We'd love to hear your recommendations. Thanks for joining us.